Hey guys, what's going on? Jerry Fetta here, owner, founder, and CEO of Wealth Dynamics, coming to you live. Not really, but pretend it is because it's more exciting that way. And if you pretend things in life, even if they're not true and they make you more excited and happier, who's to say that it's not real, right? Did you watch Life of Pi? You don't know what that guy actually did in that movie. So here's Wealth Wednesday. I'm gonna give you this video. Now, before I do, okay, I'm gonna be telling you about a free gift that I have in the comments. Okay, so if you watch to the end of the video, you've got to go all the way to the end. I wanna give you a free wealth potential analysis. I'm gonna give you instructions for that at the very end of the video. Until then, let's jump into our content. All right, guys, so Wealth Wednesday here. I hope you let me enjoy my pre-workout during this video. I'm going to anyways, but I'm giving you my weekly update. I do these videos once a week, and I kind of talk about what I'm doing for my wealth building, and it's for me a transparency move. It's also letting you see my rebuild. Last year I had some crazy stuff go down where I built my business up, I built my net worth, my assets, my passive income up. And so I had a fund that I invested in that committed fraud, and that ripple effect, took a big chunk of my net worth down, my passive income. And so I'm building that back up right now. And then just through restructuring my company, I went through a divorce also. There's a lot of things where I was like, cool, let's take it down to ground zero and let's rebuild back up. And so this is me showing you my progress, right? Me talking about what I actually do, because there's too many online gurus and people out there where you don't know what they do. They don't tell you the full story, right? So right now, just as an update, I'm focusing still on increasing my active income through my business, right? And so we're doing a good job of that. Active income is the trail to passive. Most people don't want to confront that. We hear passive. You got to earn active, save, then invest to get the passive in the first place, right? So I've been doing that, and I just recently, I made a move to get another stream of new passive income, right? Now I'm gonna talk about what that is because that's very interesting. I love passive income, but it's not something that is gonna distract me from my active income. Like, I'm not gonna go buy a rental property and go try and, scour the markets and pretend that I'm, one of two twin brothers on the Home Garden Network and I'm trying to find the perfect house and put a tenant in there. No, so I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do for my passive income right after this plug for First Form pre-workout. I'm just gonna take a swig, really. This is my First Form pre-workout. We'll talk more about that on Fitness Friday. This is not the time or the place. Come on, guys, focus. So my passive income move that I did. So I'm actually self-financing a car right now with my Sacred account, right? Now you might hear me say that and you're like, wait, what? Right? So self-financing, usually when you have a car, you do one of three things. If you're the average person, you either borrow money from a bank and to use the bank's money, which isn't even the bank's money. It's someone else's deposit that the bank borrowed against and then loaned to you. And then you're paying interest on it and collateralizing it with an asset that if you don't pay the bank back, they get to take the car away, but the money that they loaned to you wasn't even theirs in the first place. Isn't that evil? Like, let's just take a moment. Like, this is like the bad guy on The Simpsons, like that level of evil, right? That dude, right? They took, like, money wasn't theirs, loan it to you, you then buy a car, and then you pay them income for the next 8 years of your life to repay them for money that wasn't even theirs. Why are they being paid back on money that wasn't even theirs? And then if you don't pay them back, they take the car away for money that wasn't even theirs. They were insured also, right? Let's not forget that. You didn't pay the car, they have insurance that pays them back anyways, and then they're also gonna get a tax deduction on the loss. So they're gonna be able to get a triple benefit still, but the money wasn't even theirs, right? So instead of doing that, I'm not gonna borrow money from the bank, okay? I'm not gonna pay cash, right? Actually, paying cash for a car is a magic trick. And it's one of the most effective magic tricks out there. This is the magic trick. How do you take $50,000 and turn it into $25,000 in 4 years or less? Pay cash for a car, right? That's a very stupid thing to do with your finances. And then finally, there's leasing. Leasing, you're renting the vehicle, right? You're paying for the interest and the depreciation. But again, you're just making a payment to a bank, right? And it's very similar to a car loan, right? There may be some differences in structure and tax benefit. I'm not going to do any of those things, right? So I'm going to take money from my life insurance policy. Okay, I mean, first I'm going to deposit the money in my life insurance policy. And people are like, oh, that's the catch. That's the gotcha. Yeah, that is the catch. You should have money before you spend it, dingus. Like, you shouldn't, like, that's not a catch. That's like, oh, the catch is before you could eat the burger, you had to have one in the first place. That's just how food works, right? Same thing with money. You should have the money for the car before you buy the car. I don't know when we forgot that this was a thing, right? So you have the money, you deposit it into your sacred account, then you borrow against it. Now, the guy in the back of the room also is like, hey, why would I borrow against money that's already mine? And I would retort with, well, why do you let the bank do it? You know, why would I deposit money into my life insurance policy just to borrow against it? Well, why do you deposit money into the bank just to let them borrow against it? It's all of a sudden okay for them to do it to your money, but if you're the one borrowing now, all of a sudden it doesn't make sense? Right? You see the lack of logic there? It's already happening to your money. Right? It's like, you know, you have kids and you let someone else have your kids and you're like, that's fine. But then if you have your kids, it's no longer fine. Right? It doesn't make sense. Why would you put money in something you're not going to use? You're going to let someone else use it, borrow against it. And then the idea of you doing the same exact thing to your money that they're already doing to build wealth, the idea of that to you, you're like, why would I do that? Right? It makes no sense. So you have to really track with what's happening now. So I'm going to borrow against the life insurance policy. I'm going to buy the car, right? Now, what I'm going to do is personally buy the car. I own the car, and then I'm going to lease it to my business. So my business, my S corporation, is now going to pay a monthly lease payment to Jerry Fetta or to my LLC, right? I could have an LLC set up here that I'm going to now receive lease income. That's my passive income from the company. The company gets a tax deduction. I get lease income now. I also own a car that is paid off from a standpoint of I don't have a bank loan on it. Plus the money that I paid for the car in the first place is still in my policy growing the entire time, right? So I'm doing that right now. So I'll probably bring in $600-700 a month of passive lease income off of, you know, maybe a $30,000 transaction, right? And I just want to look at the math on that because some of us are math nerds. So I've got $700 a month passive income. That's $8,400 per year, right? The lease, I think the car purchase is like $32,000. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit too, but it's $700 a month, $8,400 a year into $32,000. My annual cash yield is 26.25%. Meaning when I take the annual income I'm earning and divide it by the purchase value of that car, it's 26.25%. That's what I'm making on this vehicle. Not only that, but my $32,000 I borrowed, it's still earning 5 to 6% per year in dividends while I do this. Plus my business gets a tax deduction, and then I have a paid off vehicle that's also mine, right? Like I don't have a bank loan on it. It's something that I self-financed. So that's one of my updates. Now, what I love about this strategy, let's talk about the car itself in a little bit, but what I love about this strategy is when I'm done with this vehicle, I could keep it and put it on Turo. It's the same strategy. I'm going to lease it to my business. My business would then just rent vehicles on Turo. That's the nature of that company. And then flow the lease income back to me, right? And then I have this producing income, and then I go buy the next one and do the same thing. And I continue recycling these vehicles, buying them, keeping them, putting them on Turo until I'm done with it, right? Now, I've driven some sweet cars, right? Like in the last couple of years, I've had the fun of driving an Audi e-tron, you know, a BMW X6, a BMW 320i, like vehicles that as a kid, I would never have dreamed of driving. You have to realize, guys, I grew up poor in Alaska in the middle of the woods, right? Like we had our car taken away when I was 8 years old. So I'm not someone that grew up thinking I'm going to drive, you know, these sexy luxury vehicles, right? So you're like $32,000. Like, what did you buy? It's a Hyundai. Okay, right now, like you, and this is where the internet gurus get us, guys. I'm not trying to drive a luxury car right now. Okay, so for me, I'm rebuilding and building my wealth back up to where it was. Part of that game is not me dumping an extra $30,000 into a car than I need to, or an extra 100 or an extra 200. Like I'm not going for a G-Wagon or a Rolls Royce or a Lambo or even a BMW right now. Okay, reality is I don't drive that much. My business is cloud-based. I can work anywhere where I have a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. And the other reality is like right now, I want assets that are going to produce income or make me money, and a car can make me some money, right? So I do need to have transportation, but it's not something that grows my business, right? So that's one of my major updates. Now, the second one is a big one, right? I haven't even announced this to anyone yet. So you guys are the first. That's how special you are. Whoever you are that's watching the video right now. I have not told a single person this yet, right? So I'm actually relocating to Kansas City. Okay, this is going to be in the next month, and I'm going to talk to you about this one really quick too. So you're like, why Kansas? So I'm in Florida. I've been in Alaska. I've been in LA. I've lived in Minneapolis. I've lived in Montana, right? I've lived in many different places. And so right now I'm looking at, okay, for me right now, I need to focus on my business. I'm doing a lot of personal development. I want to be somewhere central, right? I want to be somewhere where I've got a lot of different cities around. And I also really like nature. I like, lakes, and I like woods. I like mountains. I like creeks. I like caves. I like all this different stuff that I get to enjoy. For me, it's important for me to enjoy where I live, right? And then the other thing too is like, I'm not focused on, like the car is a great example. I'm not focused on overspending for cost of living. Okay, so right now inflation is a huge deal in this country, right? We have prices skyrocketing everywhere. I live in Florida right now. I live in an awesome place on the beach. My rent here at this place is more expensive than probably most of the average people pay on a mortgage. Okay, now for me it's fine. I can totally afford that. But when I look at, okay, would I rather spend more money to live here, or would I rather continue building wealth? I would rather continue building wealth right now. Okay, so for me, Kansas makes sense for a couple of reasons. Okay, number one, I love the Midwest. I love the people there. They're some of the nicest people on earth. They're respectable. They've got that good old American culture. And that's hard to come by in today's day and age. And I've always appreciated that. That's how I was raised. When I lived in Minnesota, I had much of the same experience. So I love that, right? Now, the other thing too is I'm very big on personal development. So there's an opportunity there for me to really enhance and accelerate my personal development as an individual. That's always going to take priority in my life, right? And then the other one too is from a standpoint of with my business, Kansas is literally right in the middle of the United States, right? Now, I lived in Alaska, which was on one extreme. When I lived in Alaska, it would take me 6 hours to get anywhere on an airplane, minimum, right? If I wanted to go to anywhere, it was just to get from Anchorage to Seattle, a 3 or 4 hour flight, and then you've got layovers, and then it's wherever you're going next. So for me to get around was not very easy. And so when I got down to Florida, kind of the same thing, right? I'm at the polar opposite. It's the same issue. Okay, and so I want to be more centralized. I'm really focused on expanding my company. I need to be able to get to the Chicagos and the New Yorks and Los Angeles and Miami and be able to be within arm's reach of anywhere I need to go, right? Next week, I'm going to LA. I'm going to Vancouver. Like I'm going to be doing more traveling with my company. And so it's important for me to be more centralized. Okay, and then finally, it's cost of living. So I'll just give you an example. So I've got a 2-bedroom right on the ocean front here. Beautiful place. I think I pay like $3,500 a month for it, right? Now, not a huge deal. I've paid more for that. Like my old place before this was maybe closer to $5,000 a month. It was an incredible view right on the water. And I'm again blessed to have had those experiences because I didn't have that growing up. That was never something I was like, wow, I'm going to have, a penthouse on the water one day. So I've had that experience, but I'm not someone that has to have that experience, if that makes sense, right? So when I'm in the mode I'm in now, which is I'm just stacking up, I'm applying the things I teach my clients, saving 40% of my income, right? I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in my income. I'm investing in assets. I'm self-financing my purchases, right? And this is how I got to where I was. People will look at my story, prior to age 30, and they're like, how did you get to where you were by age 30? By doing everything I teach. Okay, I was not frivolously spending. I was making tons of money with my company by helping people, saving 40% of it, putting that in sacred accounts, and then putting that in assets that either grow my active income or my passive income, and staying disconnected from banks, Wall Street, and the IRS as much as possible, right? So that's all you got to do. And that takes discipline and it takes intention. So just to give you an example, 2-bedroom on the water, incredible view here, $3,500. 3-bedroom, more space, amazing luxury apartments, not on the water. Actually, it's on a lake, so still on the water, I guess. $1,800 or $2,000 just by relocating to the Midwest, right? Now, not only that, but I've got Kansas City right there. I've got St. Louis. My company is a financial services company. The Midwest is great for financial services company. Warren Buffett, he's in Nebraska. Right, Edward Jones, they're in St. Louis, Missouri. Like that's literally just a couple cities over from where I'm going to be at. Right? So that's really what I'm thinking is, what are my goals? My goal is not just to have a waterfront view. My goal is not just to drive a luxury vehicle. My goal is freedom. Right? And so everything I'm going to do is going to align with freedom. And if that means that I change where I live, or I change what I drive, or I change my behaviors, or I change who I spend my time with, or I change where I allocate my time, that's what I'm always going to gravitate towards if it leads me closer to freedom. So I want to challenge you on this video as I give you my update, like focus on your goal. Is your goal really just to live the life you have right now? Because I was at the beach today and I was watching, there's people at the beach that were there, just hanging out, doing their thing. And I realized most of these people right now, they probably don't like what they do for work, right? They show up on Monday waiting till it's Friday. Right? They're like, oh God, it's Monday, thank God it's Friday. Oh God, it's Monday, thank God it's Friday. And they do that 52 weeks a year, and they spend their entire life trading time for money, serving the 40-year-to-life sentence, right? 40 to 60 hours a week, serving, trading time for money, hoping one day they'll be free. And that little moment on the beach is their escape. That little tiny, on Saturday afternoon, at the water, that's their escape from the reality that they have to face on Monday. And I don't ever want that for you, and I don't ever want that for me. I've never lived that life, and I'm never going to. Like even at the age of 18, I got my first job, guys. I hated it. I was employed for the better part of a year with like a corporate structure and a manager, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. Right? I'm going to go figure out how to do my own business, right? And that's what I've been doing since. So that's my update. And I love doing these videos because it's very real, very transparent. When you guys are like, how did Jerry get where he's at? Guys, you have to realize too, 6 months ago, like I had basically pulled everything down to zero. Okay, I had my sacred accounts, I had my company, right? I had a couple of my passive income producing assets left, but pretty much the whole castle crumbled down, and I'm like on a very, very fast basis rebuilding back to where I was. Like I literally just told you I'm self-financing a car this week. That's how quick, right? Now why? Because I'm this disciplined and I'm this focused on my freedom. Now, some of you guys can get lost in the story. Oh, he said he lost money. Oh, he said he had a divorce. Oh, he said he had this. Okay, guys, I'm telling you right now, in 2 years or less, I'm going to be further than I was, like 6 months ago. It's not going to take a long time. You can watch my story, or you can go build your own. And if you want to build your own, I want to help you get there. And if I'm helping you get there, I'm sharing with you the mindset. The mindset has to be, currently, if you're trading time for money, you live in financial prison. Like it's not anything other than that. You live in financial prison. You're owned by the bank. You're owned by Wall Street. You are property of the IRS. And until you are financially free, that's never going to change. So instead of making sense of the prison and being like, oh, the food's not here, so it's not so bad, and we get to go, to the beach once a week, and we get to go on a vacation once a year. Instead of making sense of it, you should be aggressively using your toothbrush to dig a hole at night. And then in the day, yeah, you come in and you work hard and you do what you need to do. But then at nighttime, boom, you're back in the trenches digging that hole to get out. And you will get out, and there is a route out, and that's the route that I'm taking, right? So guys, that's what I got for you this week. Thanks for watching. I do want to give you my free offer. So if you watch to the end of the video, I want you to say #freedom. #freedom. I'm going to give you a free wealth potential analysis. It's a 100-point assessment that's going to compare your current finances against the top 100 predictive wealth indicators to show you, are you on track? Right? And if you're not on track, what areas do you need help in? And we're going to give you a strategy to get on track, because the goal is this. It's a simple equation. PI greater than gets. Passive income greater than generosity, expenses, taxes, and savings. When that happens, you are financially independent. You no longer have to trade time for money. That's what I want to help you achieve. That's all I got for you today.